Hello, my name is Kobe Kushner. I'm an analyst here at Red Cloud Securities. Thank you to the Investing News Network for sponsoring this session. We're about to hear from Basin Uranium. This is a company that's on the hunt for uranium in none other than Saskatchewan's prolific Athabasca Basin, which the company is named after. But it also has a LOI to acquire a project in Utah as well. So with us is Mike. And Mike, you have about 15 minutes, which will follow with 5 minutes of Q&A. Viewers, feel free to ask your questions at any time.
Thanks, Kobe. Appreciate the invite. Share my screen here. We'll dig into the presentation. So yeah, like Kobe said, we're a relatively new explorer in the Athabasca Basin. We got into the uranium market here and exploration game in October. We acquired a project from Sky Harbor, and in November and December we completed $6.1 million of financing. So we're well financed for 2022. And we have a relatively tight cap structure with 23.5 million shares issued and outstanding. So please have a look at the disclaimer when you have time. I will be making some forward-looking statements in this presentation. So as usual, we throw in the disclaimer. So quick summary of Basin Uranium. So we have a 75% option to acquire the Man Lake project, which is in a very fertile part of the eastern Athabasca Basin, between a previously producing mine that's on care and maintenance and Cameco's Millennium deposit. McArthur River Mines, 25 kilometers northwest of us. We're southwest of the project, and 15 kilometers northeast of Cameco's Millennium deposit. So we're right on trend of those two deposits, and like I said, we have significant exploration potential on that property, and we'll be trying to unlock that this year. To date, there's been about $3 million in past exploration on the project, which includes over 5,400 meters of past drilling. We have raised $6.1 million in 2 private placements. The first private placement was done at 35 cents, and we did a flow-through private placement at 64 cents. That placement also included a half warrant at 75. Those are the first warrants that we've issued as a company outside of any agent warrants that were issued with previous financings. So currently we're in the process of finishing our permitting with the Saskatchewan government and First Nations and local stakeholders. We're expecting a permitting decision here coming in the next week or two. And we plan to immediately get to work. We've already been working hard at lining up contractors, having a lot of technical meetings and trying to plan our exploration for the upcoming year. Most likely we're going to be taking a 2-phased approach. Phase 1 will consist of geophysical surveys, as well as a limited amount of drilling, maybe around 3,000 meters of drilling. And then we'll come back later in the year and finish off the majority of our program. Right now on the presentation is 5,000 meters, but with the additional funds we raised in December, we're hoping to bump that number to about 6,000 meters of drilling this year. So obviously there's been a lot of talk in the news about climate change and the future of green energy. And we all know that in order to meet the world's targeted climate goals and combat today's rapidly increasing oil and gas prices, governments around the world are turning to modern nuclear energy technologies. Nuclear has the lowest carbon footprint for any power generation compared to any other source and is the most reliable option for carbon-free baseload energy generation. An interesting story from my neck of the woods. I'm based in British Columbia. Site C Dam is a major hydroelectric project here that has been on the table for many, many years. The costs have soared to over $16 billion. And there was a study recently released that if British Columbia is to meet its green energy goals by 2050, there will be needed to be built approximately 28 Site C dams. Site C Dam right now is coming in at 16 billion, so that's about $450 billion of hydroelectric generation to meet our carbon goals for 2050, which is not going to happen. Obviously, just the permitting to dam waterways in British Columbia is met with much contention. So the BC government has now, they haven't lifted a moratorium on uranium, but they are definitely now re-examining it. They're looking into nuclear as a potential source to help British Columbia meet their clean energy goals. This is just a quick slide showing kind of the currently operational nuclear reactors in the world and proposed or planned nuclear reactors to be built by 2040. So you can see there's about 916 reactors that are planning to come online, which is a significant increase, almost a doubling from what's currently active today. Global demand is growing at the same time. The supply is becoming less certain. Obviously, with conflicts in Eastern Europe and around the globe, a lot of the production is now up in the air. We don't see any decrease in the trend for the demand for uranium fuel. We think it's going to be a good industry to be in for the long term. All these new projects coming online are going to be supplied with uranium, and we think now is a great time to enter into the space, and it has a bright future ahead of it. And next we have the Athabasca Basin itself. Is obviously a world leader in uranium production. Currently about 13% of the world's annual production comes from the Athabasca Basin, followed closely by Kazakhstan, which is about 12%. The one thing the Athabasca Basin has going for it, other than being in a secure, politically mining-friendly jurisdiction, is the fact that on average, grades in the basin are approximately 20 times the world average. So it's known as the leading source of high-grade uranium across the world. And with known resources of over 600,000 tons, it's a behemoth. So like I said before, we're located in the eastern portion of the basin, which has quite a bit more infrastructure compared to other parts of the basin, as there's a significant amount of uranium exploration and production that's been conducted in that part of the basin over the years. Okay, so onto the Man Lake project. So unconforming deposits, they comprise the most significant high-grade, low-cost uranium resources on a global basis. And that's what the Man Lake project is, and that's what Basin Uranium is looking for. Located again in that fertile corridor between the Millennium deposit and McArthur River, this project has seen limited exploration. Most of the exploration to date has been focused on the central portion of the property, which we feel is not the most prospective portion of the property. Our initial focus is going to be on the southern portion of the Man Lake project, with an extensive moving loop EM survey and a gravity survey, followed by diamond drilling immediately. So a bit about the option we have with Sky Harbor. We're earning 75% interest. There's a $4 million work commitment. With the 3.6, we'll be spending well over $3 million on the project this year. So that will extinguish a large chunk of that $6.6 million earn-in. We've also made about $350,000 in cash payments to Sky Harbor. So at the end of the year, we'll be sitting about 2.3 million, most likely outstanding on that option here. So some of the previous exploration, most of it was done back in 2014. A lot of the most recent survey conducted. The last time this project was drilled was back in 2008. In 2008, the operator at the time, they were focusing mostly on northeast and east-west structures. They were looking at structural corridors and targeting those. You know, our exploration philosophy has changed where this program we're going to be focusing on basement conductors. The biggest single empirical factor driving exploration in the Athabasca Basin is the association with graphite conductive basement packages. All major deposits in the Athabasca Basin are directly associated with fault structures coincident with graphite conductors. So that's going to be our main target for this year. Our exploration is going to start off in the southern portion of the property. We're going to be running a large moving loop EM survey with gravity. And there are some previously identified regional basement conductors that do run through the southern portion of the Man Lake project, or interpreted to run through the southern portion. So we're really going to be trying to focus in on those, and looks like there's a few junctures there where you see some coalescing of these basement conductors. So that's going to be a very high priority target for us. Obviously, you know, being on the eastern side of the basin, along with the good infrastructure, also one of the drawbacks is the depth of unconformity. So depth of unconformity, we're looking at, you know, plus 500 meters, 500 to 600 meters depth of this unconformity. So targeting that deep is never a sure thing, obviously. And, you know, most of these uranium deposits would fit in the size of a city block, right? McArthur River, which is an anomaly, it's an extremely large deposit. It's only about 30 meters wide, but it has a strike length of about 1.2 kilometers. So, you know, targeting and having the best plan and targets is always key to having success in exploration. So again, just to summarize, we're going to be focusing on these northeast corridors, northeast structures, which is a very different focus from previous drilling on the project. So this map, we have magnetics overlaid, and you can see it's a little bit more in depth. We have some ground EM conductors, the shaded thicker lines, those are kind of your regional conductive corridors that have been identified over the years. So typically, again, what we're going to be focusing on is kind of the southern portion of the project here, which really doesn't have any previous geophysical surveying done, and we think is highly prospective for basement conductors and our best early chance of having some drilling success. So also along with this, anywhere you're getting flexures or some folding in these basement conductors typically appears to concentrate uranium mineralization. So we're paying close attention to that as well. Our camp will be based kind of off of Martin Lake in our permitting plan here. And we'll be staging from just off the property at gravel pit off the main highway. There is some road access to parts of the project, We haven't been able to get in there yet and confirm what the access is like. So right now we're fully prepared to have a helicopter-supported drill program, but we're hoping that we'll be able to do some ground drilling as well. But until we get there and assess the situation, we're going to be available to do either air or ground drilling. So the Ray Mesa project is a project that Basin signed a letter of intent to acquire at the end of January. This project is in another Tier 1 uranium jurisdiction in North America. It's in southeast Utah. It adjoins Energy Fuels' fully permitted and production ready LaSalle complex, which is the host to a resource of measured and indicated resource of over 4 million pounds of uranium and 21.5 pounds of vanadium, and also has about another just under 500,000 pounds and 2 million pounds of vanadium in the inferred category. So this project's a bit of a different animal, but with the issues going on all around the world, and with the US looking to supply more of its key energy metals and fuels, and kind of cut out the Eastern influence, we really like this project. It's been drilled a substantial amount, over 400 drill holes historically, and it has some historic, I don't like using the word ore bodies, but that's what its nomenclature is in the report, some historic mineralized bodies on the project. That there have been some non-43-101 compliant resources done on it, which indicate, you know, the potential for this property to host significant uranium mineralization. The nice thing here is not only you're close to major towns, you have the infrastructure, power line, highway, everything right there. So mineralization typically also is at depths less than 200 meters. So relatively low cost exploration target with high upside potential. This area in the past has been very close to becoming a major uranium producer for the US. However, due to policy shifts in government and uranium's price crashes over the years and contractions, this area has never really been fully developed. So with the run on uranium that's currently in place, I think there's going to be a very high chance that a lot of these projects start filling some of the demand for North American uranium reactors and facilities and other storage portals. So yeah, we're very excited to hopefully be closing this acquisition in the next couple of weeks. And once we do that, we'll be getting down there and getting all of our permitting and starting to confirm some of these historic drill holes that are on the project. So, like I said before, almost 500 holes drilled dating back to the late 1970s. I picked a few of the highlights out of some of my research here. And on the Dillon, we have 4.5 feet grading just over 0.5%, from starting at 533 feet depth, and about 4 foot grading just under 4.4% uranium, starting at 546.5 feet there. And then we got some other drill intercepts: 7 foot, just under 1%, 5 foot, just under 1%, and 7 foot of 0.22, all within under 700 feet depth. So looking forward, I think this is going to be an exciting project for the company moving forward. And it kind of diversifies our portfolio into another Tier 1 jurisdiction. Just to wrap up, here's kind of what we're looking at. Hopefully starting work in Athabasca in April and continuing work throughout the year. Drilling will be hopefully drilling 10 wells, about 6,000 meters this year. So that 5,000 is increased. The management and directors for the company putting together a good team, and we'll be continually adding to the board and to our technical team. And just back to our cap structure, 23.5 million shares, fully diluted 29 million. With, working capital and potential proceeds of $8 million from in the money warrants and options. And last traded about 64 cents on the CSE under the symbol NCLR. And here's a quick comparison with our peers here. This isn't up to date. Our market cap's about $15 million as of today. So see, we're a micro cap in the space right now, but hopefully we'll be changing that this year. So there you go. Thank you very much for the time. I hope that provided a brief overview and introduction to Basin.
Yeah, for sure it did. So thanks, Mike, for that.